While it is certainly possible for a prodigy to excel at a sport they do not enjoy, it is important to note that forcing someone to participate in an activity they dislike can have negative consequences, both on their mental health and their performance. That being said, let's imagine a hypothetical scenario where a young man named Juan is a prodigy at football but actually hates the sport. His family, who are huge fans of Carlos Vela, are convinced that Juan should pursue a career in football and become the next Vela. Despite his protests, they force him to attend matches and practice regularly, hoping that he will eventually come to love the sport as much as they do. At first, Juan struggles to find joy in football and feels resentful towards his family for pushing him into something he does not enjoy. However, as he continues to play and improve, he begins to appreciate the technical and strategic aspects of the game, and finds a sense of satisfaction in mastering new skills and outsmarting his opponents. Over time, Juan's talent on the pitch becomes undeniable, and he starts to attract the attention of scouts and coaches from top clubs around the world. Despite his success, however, Juan still struggles with conflicting feelings about the sport he has been forced to devote his life to. Ultimately, Juan must decide whether to continue playing football and pursuing his family's dreams for him, or to follow his own passions and forge a path that is true to himself. While his talent and hard work have brought him success on the pitch, he must also consider his own happiness and well-being in making this decision. In this hypothetical scenario, Juan's situation is not uncommon in the world of sports. Many young athletes are pushed into a particular sport by their families, coaches, or communities, often at the expense of their own desires and interests. While some athletes are able to find fulfillment and passion in their sport despite the pressure, others may struggle with feelings of resentment, burnout, or disconnection from their own identity. For Juan, the decision to continue playing football or to pursue his own passions is a difficult one. On one hand, he has invested a lot of time and effort into the sport, and has achieved a high level of success that would be difficult to replicate in another field. On the other hand, he may feel trapped by the expectations and pressures placed upon him, and may be longing for a sense of autonomy and self-determination. Ultimately, one's decision will depend on a variety of factors, including his own values, goals, and interests, as well as the support and resources available to him. If he decides to continue playing football, he may need to find ways to balance his own desires with the expectations and demands of others, and to seek out opportunities for personal growth and fulfillment within the sport. If he chooses to pursue a different path, he may need to navigate the challenges of transitioning to a new field and finding a sense of purpose and meaning outside of football. If Juan were to decide to pursue a different path, he would need to consider his own interests and strengths, as well as the opportunities and challenges of different career fields. He may benefit from seeking out guidance and support from mentors, counselors, or career coaches to help him explore his options and develop a plan for his future. One option for Juan could be to pursue a career in a related field, such as sports management, sports journalism, or sports psychology. These fields would allow him to stay connected to the world of sports while also pursuing his own passions and interests. Alternatively, he may choose to explore completely different fields, such as business, technology, or the arts, that align more closely with his own values and goals. Regardless of the path Juan chooses, he will need to develop a strong sense of self-awareness and self-confidence in order to overcome the challenges of transitioning to a new field. He may need to work on developing new skills, building a new network of contacts and supporters, and navigating the ups and downs of a new career path. Ultimately, the decision to pursue a career in football or to follow his own passions is one that only Juan can make. While he may face pressure and expectations from others, he must prioritize his own happiness and well-being in making this decision. With the right support and guidance, he can find a path that allows him to thrive and fulfill his potential, whether that is in football or in another field entirely. If Juan decides to pursue a career in football, he may need to find a way to reconcile his own feelings towards the sport with the expectations and demands of his family, coaches, and fans. He may need to develop coping mechanisms to deal with the pressure and stress of performing at a high level, and to find ways to stay true to himself amidst the competing demands and interests of others. One strategy one could use is to focus on developing a strong sense of internal motivation and purpose. By identifying his own reasons for playing football and setting his own goals and priorities, he can find a sense of fulfillment and meaning within the sport that is not dependent on external validation or approval. This may involve developing a personal philosophy or mission statement that guides his approach to the sport and helps him stay true to his own values and goals. Another strategy one could use is to seek out support and guidance from mentors and role models within the sport. By building relationships with people who understand the pressures and challenges of being a professional athlete, he can gain valuable insight and perspective on how to navigate the demands of football while also staying true to himself. He may also benefit from developing a strong support system of family, friends, and teammates who can provide emotional support and encouragement. Regardless of the path one chooses, he will need to develop a strong sense of self-awareness and self-confidence in order to thrive. By staying true to himself and his own values, he can find a sense of purpose and fulfillment in his career, whether that is in football or in another field entirely. If one decides to pursue a career in football, he may need to develop a strong work ethic and commitment to training and practice. This will require a significant investment of time and effort, as well as a willingness to push himself to the limits of his abilities. He will need to stay disciplined and focused in his approach to training, and to be willing to make sacrifices and prioritize his goals in order to achieve success. In addition to his physical training, one may also benefit from developing his mental and emotional skills, such as resilience, emotional regulation, and mindfulness. By learning to manage his thoughts and emotions under pressure, he can perform at a higher level and stay focused on his goals even in the face of adversity. Outside of his training and competition, one may also benefit from developing a strong sense of purpose and meaning within the sport. This can involve identifying his own values and goals, and finding ways to align these with his career aspirations and his performance on the pitch. By developing a sense of purpose and fulfillment within the sport, he can stay motivated and inspired even in the face of setbacks and challenges. Ultimately, whether one decides to pursue a career in football or to follow his own passions, he will need to stay true to himself and his own values in order to thrive. By developing a strong sense of self-awareness and self-confidence, and by seeking out support and guidance from mentors and role models, he can find a path that allows him to fulfill